All right. Sorry, I guess I've been talking with the mute button on there. So let's try this again. Welcome to the Found Money Solution. If you had registered for this webinar, you're in the right place. Looks like some people are still starting to show up here, so that's good. We're going to keep this to about 30 minutes total time. My name is Jeff Thompson. I am the president and founder of Quantum Marketing System. I'll be joined by Adam Brown, who's the VP and partner in Quantum Marketing with me. And we're going to be showing you something that is a proprietary product that's really pretty new to the market, but it's in a market that's been around for 30 plus years and is highly regulated. And this is just a very innovative, unique option to create liquidity for those business owners who've maybe had their businesses shut down for the last month or 2 or 3, depending on what part of the country you're in and what type of business you're in. You may have a serious cash crunch right at the moment. And so clients are probably looking for, ways to unlock liquidity that's pretty painless for them. And when we say painless, we mean quite a few things. We'll get into that into the presentation here. So just so you know, it's about 30 minutes. We're going to open it up for Q&A at the very end. So if you stick around to the end, we're going to have some really interesting stuff for you too, to take advantage of this unique proprietary solution that we are bringing to market. And I want to thank everybody for attending here today. So let's dive right in. Get my PowerPoint going. Here we go. So the question I'd like to ask everybody here is, what if there was a new way to uncover a significant source of cash for your affluent clients? And it was literally right under their nose. A lot of you probably don't even realize this is actually there. And it doesn't require all the traditional things that might be necessary in order to create liquidity, which would be going to get a bank loan or a second mortgage, or liquidating a valuable asset, gold bullion, stocks that have done well, whatever the case may be. Almost all of those are kind of undesirable actions for people to take, whether that's their portfolio took a big hit and they don't want to have to liquidate now at the bottom in order to access some cash, or they've got something that's working really well and they don't want to have to liquidate now because maybe it's still on a run. What if there was something that where you didn't have to actually suffer those negative consequences or have to go through the hassle of, a bank underwriting a loan? So I'm going to go off camera here for the rest of this, but I'll be back on at the end. So this is a breakthrough program that basically unlocks cash from an asset that you didn't realize was usable in many cases. So who is this for? This webcast is really for financial advisors and agents that are looking for a unique solution to solve impossible liquidity problems, open up multiple new sales opportunities with any client who needs a source of liquid cash but doesn't want to borrow, go through the second mortgage process, liquidate valuable assets, heirlooms, stocks, bonds, gold, whatever, real estate, and wants it quick, wants a way to do this that's relatively quick as well. So in under 30 days, which is kind of the promise of our webcast here. So if that's you and you think you might have clients like that, and I suspect almost everybody does right now in the current economy, this is something you need to know about. And it will give you a fantastic tool to solve problems in a way that you've never been able to before. So imagine being able to solve your client's liquidity problem and at the same time earning at least 2 commissions. It could be more than that, but at least 2 new commissions at the same time, using a source of cash that your clients didn't even know they had. The beauty of this is, before I move on to this next slide, is that this can give you a way to differentiate yourself and your business by being able to use this unique solution. It's kind of a blue ocean because obviously, as we already kind of introed into the beginning of the webinar here, there are a lot of businesses that are suffering. There are folks that are filing bankruptcy every week now. Liquidity is crucial. Now, it may also be that there are people that are just simply unemployed or furloughed or on part-time, or their commissions are down just because the economy has been kind of ground to a halt because of the pandemic. they're looking for ways to get liquidity that don't necessarily stick it to them, that is high interest rates, or they might not be able to get a loan if, they're not having any revenue. So there may not be options that were traditionally available too. So the alternative is to leave your clients with that liquidity problem. And right now, we really don't want to have that happen. I hope that we can help your clients solve these big problems, keep the economy going, and keep your businesses prospering as well by earning new commissions as opposed to no commissions in many cases, where what most people would normally do with what we're going to show you is something that would not earn you any commission whatsoever. And we're talking about 2 sizable new commissions potentially, maybe even 3. So let's just keep going. So who am I? You're probably wondering, who the heck is this guy talking to me? My name is Jeff Thompson. I am a 23-year industry veteran, and I've been all around the block working for major companies like AIG as a sales trainer, Allianz Life. I've been in the life settlement space. I've worked for a large independent marketing organization, a $1 billion plus company. I work with top of the table producers all around the country that are huge life producers. And part of how we help them grow their business and scale their business is to show them these blue ocean opportunities, to seek out and show them these blue opportunities. This blue ocean opportunities, this is one of those that we actually helped develop. So we helped create this with 2 other partners. So in any case, that's me. And I'm going to let my co-host on the webinar here and my partner in quantum marketing introduce himself and his own credentials. Hi, Adam.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for bringing me on today. My name is Adam Brown. I'm the Vice President of Quantum Marketing Systems. Worked with Jeff for many years. I come at it from a slightly different angle, where I have been a certified joint venture broker. I've worked with people coaching with success principles, but I've adapted it all to the life insurance industry because that's the industry I've been in the longest. What's key about this program, the Found Money Solution, is I came across this program working with one of the largest settlement groups in the United States. At the time, they were the 2nd largest purchaser of life policies, and they could never buy the whole life policies until I found this solution. And this is why Jeff and I are both excited to bring this to the people on the call today.
Thanks, Adam. So yeah, just a little bit more on the backstory. This is a partnership, like I said, between 3 different pieces of the puzzle. As Adam mentioned, we sort of stumbled across a guy who had really developed this very innovative program that he was just offering to his own personal clients. So he's an RIA and was offering this just to his own personal clients on a very limited basis, but realized that it probably had a lot of potential. He just didn't have all the other pieces of the puzzle in place. So the regulatory expertise to scale it up, the marketing and the distribution needed. And so that's where we formed a partnership of 3 different entities in order to bring this to market. So this is proprietary, and the first you'll have ever seen it anywhere, because we brought it to market. We're bringing it to market. We've been doing this now for about a year, but we haven't been doing a lot of webinars on it yet. So this is one of the first, one of the early webinars. You'll be one of the first in the country to actually see what this is all about. So this is kind of how it all came about. It's a really smart guy that created the concept and the chassis of the product, and then the other partners have come in to help with the marketing, distribution, and regulatory pieces of it. And so we have a completely packaged program that's available in most states, not every state, but states are being added right now. And I guess we'll just start from there. So my goal for the webinar here today is obviously to keep it short, but I want you to understand that the only way to avoid liquidating valuable real estate, stock, gold, family heirlooms, and uncover this hidden sources, is to uncover this hidden source of liquid cash that's right under their nose. So most affluent clients have this asset. They just don't know that they can do what we're going to show you they can do with it. And it's pretty remarkable. So a little bit of buildup, obviously, and I want you to understand that the only way to uncover this significant hidden source of liquid cash for your clients is really the found money solution. There's nothing like this at all on the market. So what we're, you may be thinking, okay, I think I know what this is at certain points in our presentation. Let me assure you, you have no idea what this is. It took me a little bit of time to get my mind around it at first. So when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, what is this thing again? So you may have that same question as you go, and that's why we're going to leave a little time for Q&A. We also have some really cool stuff to help you really get your mind around what it is, where it fits, how it works. The most important thing to know, though, is that it's designed to create and unlock liquidity for your clients in a very unique way. So 3 things you're going to discover today. First one is really this, why you're all here. That's my number 1 secret liquidity hack for the asset rich client that's also maybe cash poor at the moment for a number of reasons. Obviously, the pandemic weighing heavily on that. And maybe even recently, we're coming to you live from Minneapolis, the epicenter of the nationwide rioting. So that's obviously impacted many businesses here. I think we had over 150 businesses just in Minneapolis that were looted and vandalized or burned down completely. So, pretty tragic for a lot of those folks. They may be in a situation, and I'm sure this isn't, isolated to just Minneapolis, as it looks like it's hit many major metro areas around the country. A lot of business owners are severely impacted, and their cash flow is going to be severely impacted in the near term. So this is a solution that we can really help these folks stay solvent, stay on their feet, and get back in the game and hopefully as soon as possible, right? And keep their employees and all that stuff. So secret number 2 is why your client fact finder doesn't recognize this valuable source of liquidity. And it's just because you're not thinking about it in the way that you're going to see here. So we're going to show you how to uncover that hidden source of cash that's literally right under your client's nose and unlock that access to it in a unique way. And then secret number 3, your clients will no longer have to liquidate those valuable assets that we talked about, and that's already established. They're not going to have to do all the things that they might have had to do before in order to obtain liquidity, which usually means they've got to sell something valuable. And some of that can take a while. Real estate's not super liquid. It may be less liquid now if we're seeing, in other markets, the beginning of a bit of a recession in the housing market even. So, liquidity might be a little bit of an issue. Assets might have lost value. Obviously, if you had a lot of stocks, bonds, stuff in the stock market, you might have taken quite a substantial hit in the last couple months here. And so not only is this not forcing you to take a loss, it's on some asset that you're going to have to liquidate. It's also going to be something we can do very quickly. So, and again, how many businesses might need want a line of credit, but they can't get one now because banks aren't lending, and they weren't one of the lucky lottery winners that got into the government bailout money, right? So let's talk a little bit about secret liquidity hack number 1. How to get the exact same liquidity as a bank loan, real estate liquidation, without doing either of those. And I'm going to bring on Adam here to talk a little bit about really what it is. We want to get to what this actually is that we're offering. So Adam, I'm going to turn it over to you here. Let's tell everybody what we're talking about here.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, what we're talking about with the found solution, if you're familiar with the life settlement market, it's a settlement, but what I want you to do is take what you think you know about life settlements and throw it out, because in many ways, this is going to be the polar opposite. You could even call it an anti-settlement settlement. Now, before we get going too deep into it, I want to ask real quick, rhetorically, why did you get in the industry? I know why I got into it. And in my case, some people just want to make some money, but I, like probably most of us on this call, you want to make a difference in somebody's life. You want to protect them in case they die and take care of their family. And while they're living, help them grow those assets to live a life of abundance. In our industry, though, I find that there's one major flaw, and that flaw is that sometimes people don't have the patience to see a life insurance policy come to fruition. There's a statistic that I've read that 45% of all whole life policies are surrendered in the first 10 years. And all of us know that's the time when the policy doesn't have as much value and is still growing. That's when you have most of your costs, like underwriting and commissions, coming out of the policy. And quite frankly, it stinks to think that a client might surrender their policy within the first 10 years. And that's also why a lot of people like Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman have made a business off of telling people why whole life policies aren't good and they should buy term and invest the difference. There was another statistic I read, 80% of all whole life policies are surrendered prior to death. And this is what I really want you to take away in the Found Money solution today, is how this is going to change for you as another solution for your clients.
Yeah, and I think the important thing before we leave this slide is that, like you started off with, what we're showing you here is actually regulated as a life insurance settlement. So that's the regulatory mechanism that's sort of wrapped around this. But in reality, it has nothing to do with a life settlement in any way that you currently know. So if what you're thinking is, oh, I don't like life settlements, they're, needle in a haystack, all these negatives, we'll get into that as we go here. So before we leave this slide, I wanted to make sure that was out there. And I also wanted to kind of make sure you understand what the opportunity is. Annually, there's about $40+ billion of cash surrender value, whole life cash, that is actually surrendered every year. So these are valuable assets, policies that we could use with the Found Money solution. And it's billions and billions and billions of dollars. So $40 billion just being surrendered outright, giving up all those benefits in order to just access the cash. What a tragedy. And you'll know why in a few minutes here, but let's just keep going.
That's a great point, Jeff. And a large percentage of those policies are perfectly good. They just need to be saved in some way.
Right. And there's a lot of reasons why they might be accessing that cash, and you may know those. Sometimes it is just for liquidity. Sometimes they can't afford it. There may be a whole host of reasons why, but we know that we can fix that problem very easily. So
the Found Money solution, here's how it's going to really impact you. It's going to help you retain those clients when you have a solution in-house for them that they don't have to go searching for. It's going to help you increase your commissions. Your commissions, like Jeff alluded to originally, this will lead into 2 or 3 other sales to help your clients. And it's really going to, most importantly, help you eliminate the lapse of the policy that you sold the client in the first place. So we'll get into the details on those in the next slide or two. The key thing I want to make sure everybody understands is, in the traditional settlement market, usually you're looking at people who are older or unhealthy. With this solution, it can work literally with any age and any health. And you'll find out in some ways it's actually more beneficial to people who are younger because of the policy. We want the policy to remain intact for an extended period of time.
Yeah, so this is already sort of an inversion of the traditional settlement that makes this nothing like a traditional settlement in any way, because we can have a young, healthy client. The other obviously is that we can have permanent high cash value products. So whole life that might have a sizable amount of cash value normally would not work in a traditional settlement, completely off the table. There's a gigantic untapped opportunity there too, because traditional settlements just normally don't work with a whole life product. You're kind of stuck unless you're biatical and terminally ill. This doesn't require any of that. You can be in your 20s, perfectly healthy, preferred best, and have a cash value policy with tons of cash in it. So now, usually you don't have a lot of 20-year-olds with policies with tons of cash, but they're out there.
Now, how are we going to do this? When we looked at the Found Money solution and the partnership that we've created, we buy the cash values of those policies. And Like a traditional settlement, you might picture somebody who can't afford or doesn't want the policy anymore, but we'll throw in on ours that it could even be somebody that has an old policy that doesn't have the current features of the new products that are out there, like long-term care benefits and retirement benefits for cash value. So this is going to keep the cash liquid and also give them an opportunity to maybe take advantage of the newer policies that are out there that are going to benefit them in some other way. The idea of this, though, is the client keeps the best of all three situations. In their world, they're going to get their money. They get to stop making premium payments, and they get to have the protections that their family want and need as an alternative to most of your 1035 potential that you would normally use to move that money into something else.
So they kind of get everything. They get all the cash that's in there. They get the death benefit that's above the cash, and they get the whole thing without any more premium. So it's almost like they get to have free insurance going forward, right?
Yeah, you said it, Jeff. They get the net death benefit and the cash out of the policy. Now, this will give you a good example of how the found money solution is going to check all the boxes. The insured receives that net cash value minus closing costs. We pay the premiums. They keep the net death benefit, the difference between that cash value and the death benefit amount. And the key thing, again, is age is not a factor. We accept whole life policies. We'll actually also look at index universal life as well. And we can give you a quick answer within 24 hours sometimes. I know the slide shows 2 weeks, but sometimes if we have the right information on the illustrations, we can give you an answer within 24 hours if a policy is something that we can buy.
Yeah, the 2 week turnaround may be the fastest that we might actually be able to get something closed. We
Correct.
say 30 days just for a buffer, but it's possible if everything aligns right that we could even do it in 2 weeks. So also nothing like a traditional settlement. What I want to add in here too is that we didn't put on this slide is that you can also potentially do this with a term conversion as long as we can convert into a cash accumulating product. So a whole life or an IUL.
Exactly.
So a whole nother opportunity there, even with a term conversion.
So we're going to go through a quick example here. So our example is using Bob. Bob's a business owner, and at the time business was booming, and his agent talked to him about whole life, all the benefits of whole life, how it could protect his family, and also conservatively grow some assets. So Bob saw the value in it. He decided to go forward with it, and he bought a whole life policy. Now let's fast forward. Bob with present day business, and I'm sure some of you can relate with our current environment, but business was not necessarily booming. His original plan was good. The policy he purchased solid, but things didn't go according to plan, and his business wasn't doing as well. What made it even worse is he had to rely on that cash value, take out loans just to make ends meet for his business. So the policy was still working the way it should have, but Bob's situation didn't fit that scenario anymore.
So it's possible in this case, he's put a lot of stress on that policy and maybe isn't able to, it could be running into problems in the near term.
Exactly. And let's face it, that's going to put a burden on the policy. It's also going to put a burden on Bob. He looks at that policy. He sees disappointment in the value, can't afford the protection. Maybe he can't afford those premiums coming up, and he's looking for an outlet. So he keeps thinking of maybe the advertisements of buying term and investing the difference. Now, this is where the educated agent comes in. Bob calls the agent. Obviously, he's not as happy with him because of his situation. And you may be familiar with the two solutions that people commonly go with, which, let's face it, really stink. They don't work well in the client's best interest, but they're what we have available. But this is where our solution is going to give you a third option. So as you can see, when you convert the cash value with option number 1, he's going to lose what little cash value he has. The cash value is gone, but he does get to convert some of that cash into a death benefit, but the death benefit is going to be a lot lower than what he needs to protect his family. And that's definitely not a good solution. Brings us to option number 2. Option number 2 is just as terrible. He has that depleted cash value already. He's going to take that cash value out and surrender the policy, but all the death benefit is gone. And now he doesn't have any protection for his family or for his business. This is where option number 3, the found money solution, comes in. This is going to be where he gets to keep his policy, maintain that death benefit that he needs for his family, and also get that cash value out of it so that he has a little bit more flexibility for his business to keep it running. So where the found money solution is really going to help Bob, he receives $3,000 in this case, in our example. He's going to keep the entire death benefit minus the cash value that he gets paid out of it. And he has no premiums going forward. So in this example, that policy would have cost $12,000 a year. He doesn't have to worry about that and have that burden on his shoulders. So as you see, option number 3 gives Bob all the benefits, and it helps him keep protecting his family the way he needed the policy to.
So he gets to keep that death benefit basically for life, but what happens is, like in a whole life policy that builds up cash, because there's going to be cash in there and those premiums are continuing to be paid, is that there'll be a shrinking corridor over time, as you can see here, where they'll have a little bit less net death benefit each year, but still a sizable amount. And again, no out-of-pocket premiums ever again. So a beautiful solution in this case, keeping most of that death benefit the entire time, plus accessing the cash that he had and not worrying about the loan anymore.
And the real benefit of saving a doomed policy like what Bob had is Bob's not the only one who's going to win from that. The agent, the advisor wins as well. By saving that doomed policy, you're going to get a referral fee for us purchasing the policy from Bob. But then you're also going to win out where you continue to get residual commissions if that policy was still paying residuals. If it is a term conversion, like Jeff mentioned earlier, you can get a 10%, receive 10% of that term conversion commissions. But you're going to keep your persistency, and you save the policy from lapsing, and you put Bob in a good situation. So that's really going to create a happy client and improve your relationship with them.
Let's talk about that referral fee real quick. Total cash value, including policy loans. Does that mean that if the guy has $1 million in cash and there's a $900,000 loan, you only get paid on the 100,000, or is it the whole million?
No, that's a great question, Jeff. So what the client gets is the client gets the 100,000 because there's a big loan on it. But the benefit to the client is that they don't have that burden of the loan looming over them. To the agent, though, the agent gets paid on the total value of cash in the policy. So the loan does not work against the agent for their referral fee. So in that case, that 4% would be based off of the whole amount.
The total accumulated value in the policy, regardless of
exactly.
Loans. Great.
Exactly.
Great. All right.
Now, some of the additional benefits you're going to get is by finding the solution for the client. Some clients, when you are in the settlement market, and I've experienced this quite a bit over the last few years being in that market. Jeff, I know you have some experience with this as well. But sometimes the clients reconsider selling their policy once they know what the value is. You know, once somebody gives them a value, then they may think, well, maybe I can get more, or there's some other value out there that maybe I should continue to shop it. The benefit of the found money solution is that we always base it off of that cash value. So there is no question about what the value is. It's always right there, and it's very transparent. The other thing with the traditional settlement market is because they are based off of health and age, that there's a lot of variation on what a policy might be worth. And again, because we're only basing our solution off of the cash value within the policy, that's never going to be in question. The value is already there right in front of the client.
Yeah, a traditional settlement is very, very subjective, and from one investor to the next, they may value that policy widely differently. There's really one value with this solution, and that is whatever the cash is, they get 100% of that cash less closing costs. So that's pretty significant.
And I do want to take a minute there, Jeff, just to mention, and I know this probably falls on ears that have already heard this, but you never want to sell a policy with the intent of settling it at a later time. That's illegal. We know that, but we don't, just so everybody knows, we don't buy policies where people have done that. We're very strict about doing the analysis of a policy, when it was, when the inception was, and how that's going to going to look to the client. Our main goal is we're here to preserve the inherent value of the good policies that are still serving the client, that they just need some help with. And that way we help everyone, and it's not gaming the system. Now, when we're looking at it, is it too good to be true? It sounds too good to be true. You know, why would somebody pay someone's premium still and let them keep the death benefit? There's a long answer to that, but the short answer is that we have investors who are looking for a conservative place to put their money, comparable to a short-term bond fund. The fund yields 4.5% to 5% net of fees, and it's also an excellent place to put their premium deposit monies. So that's where the need for this purchase of a policy comes into play, and that's what allows us to be able to pay the client their net cash minus the closing costs and still give them death benefit going forward. It's also why we look for policies that aren't necessarily going to be somebody who's passing away in the next few years. We want the policies for people who are going to live longer.
All right, so we're gonna just dive into secret number 2, which is why your client fact finder doesn't recognize this valuable source of liquidity. Well, obviously, you know, hit the mute button there. Obviously, the first piece of this is that most people are looking at that asset and going, okay, well, maybe I have to surrender this policy. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep the death benefit. I need the cash and I want to keep the death benefit. Other people might be thinking, well, you know, maybe I'll just, you know, I could get a loan from this policy, but I need that death benefit maybe for my business, and maybe it's encumbered already, so they can't do that. And we're going to show you why, even if they have a loan. And the example that you just saw there was kind of a perfect layup for it. Is, you know, somebody might have loaned out most of the policy and they can still actually make this work where they can keep that insurance. So if you heavily loan your policy, you might put it in jeopardy of lapsing because you can't pay the premiums or the interest on the policy any longer. And that may be because of current cash flow crunch, right? I know we're already getting a little bit longer than I wanted to be, so I'm going to just kind of breeze through some of this real quick here. So your clients no longer have to, secret number 3, your clients no longer have to liquidate valuable assets. We already talked a little bit about this early on, how to put cash in your client's bank account in as little as 30 days and unlock that. So let's just talk a little bit about what obviously we used to have to do with a traditional life insurance settlement. Obviously those are cumbersome. They're, as you can see from the picture here, the analogy we're using is a needle in a haystack. If you've ever tried to enter the life settlement market, which has been around for a long time and it's highly regulated today, and much more accepted as a financial tool in the marketplace today. And now we even see direct ads to consumers, you know, in that market. But it's still a needle in a haystack. It still requires LE reports. It still requires physician statements. There's still full underwriting like you're buying a life insurance policy for the most part, which makes these things slow because it's hard to get all that stuff together. It's also a little bit expensive because somebody's got to pay for all these reports. To price a policy with us doesn't cost a thing, just a little bit of time getting those illustrations. Of course, you used to have to only focus on old sick people basically, which is it's certainly a disadvantage. And of course, can't use whole life. For the most part, traditional settlements didn't work with whole life or any high cash value policies whatsoever. And they had to have some kind of a health impairment, which usually had to be fairly severe to make that policy valuable because it was an acceleration of the death benefit based on time value of money. So the calculations depended heavily on the life expectancy of the client, in order to make it valuable. This doesn't rely on that at all. And of course, you had to wait a heck of a long time to get all those pieces together to get an offer. We can turn an offer around probably in the same day in many cases. So obviously, as Adam's already covered, there's a lot we can do with these, but with the right carriers, we're probably offering on at least 50% of the policies and maybe even more. There are certain companies we might be able to offer on 100% of them. Client gets that cash and retained death benefit. No LE reports, no APS, no health underwriting, any age client, as we've already stated. You can buy whole life or IUL with high cash value. You can even do term as long as it's convertible to a permanent policy like that. We don't care about health impairment. They can be of perfect health and any age, basically, as long as they're legally an adult. Well, actually, it might not even be that. As long as the owner of the policy is a legally an adult. Can close in as little as 30 days. It may be even as little as 2 weeks if you wanted to. So if you have somebody that really needs cash right now and one of these whole life policies in their possession, and maybe they are struggling to pay the premiums, they need to access the cash, but they can't give up the death benefit, this is the answer. So we have a new way, and this is clearly a better way. And I want to just take a second here and ask you a question. What do you guys think of this so far? I mean, is this interesting? Do you see that you might have a market for this? Do you have folks that you could help by providing this solution to them as opposed to surrendering the policy, not getting paid? I mean, that's probably, the worst part for you guys is you might be able to help your client by surrendering the policy, but are you really helping them in the best way possible when they're having to give up their coverage just to get their cash? And you don't make a commission on it. I mean, that's just a bad combination in my opinion. So what do you think? Sound interesting? You want to learn more? You want to be able to offer this to your clients? Well, we do have a way for you to do that. Hopefully you're excited about what we've talked about, but there's probably still a lot of questions you might have, a lot of details that we certainly haven't covered in the time allotted here today. And we've made something available to really help you bridge that gap so that you can get your mind fully around how this works, how to position it, where to use it, and what the entire process is from A to Z. And so if you are okay with it, I'd love to show you what we've got. If you want to just type in the Q&A box, yes, and let me know that you're okay with, or in the chat box, yes. Well, I'm going to assume you guys are interested in seeing it, so I'm just going to move forward here. All right, so we have a tutorial that's about 4 hours of total content that walks you through what it is, how to position it, what's required from a regulatory standpoint for you to offer it, how much you can make, and actually we're talking pretty sizable amount of, all right. So this will cover everything pretty much from A to Z here. I was just looking at the chat box, so I'm glad to see you guys are interested. So this is a tool that we put together to kind of help you get from A to Z, really understand what this is, and be well informed so that you can market this successfully to your clients. So who is this for? Well, let's just kind of paint that picture a little bit in the time that we have remaining here. Clients with overloan policies that want to still keep that coverage in place, but maybe they can't afford it because it's about to collapse and they don't have the money to put in to either repay the loan or increase the premiums to cover the loan interest. So they've got a policy that's teetering on collapse. Clients thinking of surrendering their high cash value policy, IUL or whole life for any reason. It doesn't really matter what that reason is. Right now, it might just be stress of lack of revenue or income due to job loss or loss of, being able to run their business. They're restaurant owners, they're probably in especially difficult shape, right? But they might have access to these. So instead of having 40 to $80 billion of whole life policies being surrendered in any given year, let's help them find a better way. And you can profit handsomely from that in the process. So a lot of whole life policies don't have any living benefits on them. So that's a fairly recent innovation. Whole life carriers are a little slow to change, but now they're adding long-term care or chronic illness riders. Maybe they want that. And why not just let them keep the original death benefit and get paid on it? Right now you don't get paid on a 1035 exchange. You get paid on the new policy being issued, but the actual cash moving, you can get paid on with this approach, basically. Now, there might be cases where you might actually still prefer to do a 1035. It just depends on the scenario. So we can help you figure out the math on any particular case, whether that makes sense. But healthy clients, young clients, clients that can no longer afford their premium, I think we're probably running into more of that. Clients wanting more income, because maybe they want to use this to produce an income stream right now, some of that cash. Agents looking to sell asset-based long-term care solutions. So maybe your client is unprepared for a long-term care scenario. We could tap into this cash without giving up anything in terms of death benefit with their existing policy, and even freeing up the premiums they were paying to help pay for something like this. As we've already discussed, works for all types of cash value whole life or IUL, as well as term conversions. We do not look at VUL, by the way, at the moment. So that is not one of the things that we can do anything with. But whole life is giant. That's like one of the largest segments of the entire life insurance market, as is IUL right now. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to get. You're going to get our Found Money Solution tutorial at $297 value. You also get access to our private Facebook group, which is just a group of agents that are part of our quantum marketing system, where we talk about all kinds of really interesting, differentiated ways to have that blue ocean conversation with your clients. So this isn't the only thing we have in our toolbox that you might find very unique and give you that differentiated position in the market in a completely untapped blue ocean. And that's something you can certainly talk to Adam about, or I about. Unlimited policy valuations are included. So those are in the traditional settlement market, that can be quite expensive. Here, like I said, it doesn't cost you a thing. And those are valued at $491 total for all this. And like I said, you're going to get this. It's actually over 2 hours now. I think it's nearly 4 hours now. How it works, how to use it, how to sell it, where to position it, how the whole process works. You'll have access to our expert support and the policy valuation process through our partners in this whole project, and a whole lot more. So let's just reiterate all the things that you're getting. We also have a monthly mastermind call as part of being in the quantum marketing system. You get to be part of our private Facebook group, where we have MDRT top of the table folks there. You'll learn about our other creative, unique solutions, and access to our mastermind calls, where we frequently feature MDRT top of the table producers who are using these approaches to grow their business. And we've helped people scale their business. I mean, we've had agents that have made over $1.3 million in a single transaction. So some pretty exciting stuff. We'd love to work with you on this to get you started with something unique and offering this to your clients. And we don't think that there is a better time than right now. So if all this did was finally get you the key to unlock that untapped market of opportunities, would it be worth it? Think of that, $40+ billion of whole life surrendered in cash alone every single year. What a sad story. You know, all those people, we could have helped them keep that life insurance for the rest of their lives with no out-of-pocket premiums and still access their cash, and you got paid on it. Now you're probably wondering how much you can make on that. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute here. This can also help you attract new clients with old high cash value whole life policies or IUL policies. That might be a great opportunity for you, because you might reposition that cash in something that helps them solve an income problem maybe, and it could go into an annuity or maybe another life policy. It all depends. So you'll be able to give solutions no one else can offer. Would that be worth it? If we could do any of these things for you, I think it would. So you can see why it's a really good deal at $588. $97 normally for quantum marketing system members, but because you stayed until the end, and because we want to help the economy and you get started with this, you can get started today for nothing. You just have to call Adam, who's on the call right now, so he won't be able to pick up while we're here. So if you're calling, you're probably going to get his voicemail. That's fine. Just leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. You can reach Adam at 612-367-7503. That's 612-367-7503. Adam, and I don't know if you have anything you want to add here.
Well, the only thing I want to add, and I can't stress this enough, is it's regulated as a settlement, but it's so different than any other settlement. There's no age restrictions, no health impairments needed, no life expectancy reports or physician statements. It's not a needle in the haystack. And what we've been able to do so far in helping people find the money to reposition it, especially during these last few months, is insane.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is that it is a highly regulated market. So this isn't anything that's fringy, dangerous. It's very much a clean transaction, highly regulated, very safe. We have virtually unlimited capacity here because the investor side of this, there's more money than we can handle. The bigger issue is making sure your clients know about this opportunity, that if they have that whole life policy that they were thinking of surrendering, they absolutely must not do that until you have a chance to have us take a look at it and see what we can give them, and if it will work for them. And like I said, in probably half the cases with top rated carriers, that's no problem. We're gonna have offers on a vast majority of those. So probably more than 50%. So if you're one of the first 5 people to call Adam and get set up and get access to the tutorial and the complete system, and get plugged in, we've got some extra stuff for you too. We have a really cool, fun thing here called the Authority Package. This is an agent reputation builder. You can use this, which is a PR package basically, which includes a nationally syndicated, professionally written press release that goes out to over 200 plus outlets. This goes to places like Yahoo Finance, Google News, WorldNet Daily, the NASDAQ.com website, Wall Street Select. It's designed to help you position yourself in the market as offering something unique. So we would help you with our professional US-based writer, get this out to your market, positioning you as the liquidity guy, right? You can help solve businesses with liquidity or cash flow problems right now. And I guess that's going to be a message that resonates really well with the market. And we'll help get that out to over 200 plus news outlets. That includes local ABC, Fox, NBC, CBS, all that stuff. So these things are not cheap. You do get it with this package as well. That's valued at, by itself, $14.97. You could go to market and find, on PR Web and hire a person to write this for you. You'll find that you could easily pay $14.97 or more. And that's included with this as well. So total value of this whole thing is $2,091. And again, you can still get started for absolutely nothing. All that we ask is that you sign a non-disclosure agreement in order to access that bonus. I just need to go back a second here. It requires a certain amount of found money solution cases that you close. So $500,000 of cash value cases closed. You might be able to do that in a single case. That's not uncommon. We've got cases right now in the works that are, I don't know, Adam, we've got several that are over $1 million, right?
Yeah, actually quite a few that are $1.5 million or more.
Yeah, so you could hit that in one single transaction and then take advantage of this bonus as well. So it does require a little bit, but the thing to do right now is, or after the webcast, is call Adam at 612-367-7503. If you have any questions, now is the time to do it. You can go into the chat box, and if you have any questions, we'll just answer those quick for the group here. And if there aren't any questions, we've tried to make this as risk-free as possible for you and as valuable, hopefully an irresistible offer, because we think you can really change the world and help all those struggling business owners and maybe all those folks that are unemployed. There is no minimum, by the way, technically no minimum. So, and there's also no maximum. I mean, we've had a case that was, you know, $20 million of cash value that we were looking to buy. So it's open, like we've said all throughout this webcast, it's an open blue ocean. So take this and run with it. Call Adam at 612-367-7503. Get started today and start helping all those struggling business owners and furloughed workers during the pandemic. And let's turn this economy around. All right. Well, it doesn't look like there are any questions. So anything else we want to say before we wrap it up, Adam?
No, I think we said it succinctly in the webinar today, but I look forward to speaking with everybody who needs that help out there, and sincerely trying to help them with their clients find solutions that are in their best interest in every way, shape, and form. So
I want to thank everybody for attending today, and we look forward to working with you and your clients to help them solve their liquidity concerns with the Found Money Solution. And we'll talk again soon. Have a great day, everybody.